Well, good morning. It is November 22nd, my youngest son's birthday. It's, I don't know what the temperature is, but it's much better than it was the last few days, and it's pretty nice. But today I was just going to do a video here by Jordan Peterson. It's called The One Question That Exposes Your Fake Friends. I don't know if I had a history of fake friends or if it was more me. Probably a little bit of both. You know, I did have some friends that weren't genuinely looking out for my best interests, nor their own, quite frankly. And I was doing the same. I wasn't a great friend to them. And I've had some just absolutely amazing friends, genuine friends that it took courage for them to speak up when I was doing wrong and things like that. So I just wanted to do a quick reaction video with this Jordan Peterson. Just because it touched me so personally. I literally have no real friends that I see on a weekly, yearly basis or anything. I've got a couple dear friends that I talk to from time to time, phone or internet, whatnot. But let's take a look at this. There goes my cat.
You want for the best in them. That's what you want. And that's what you want from people that you surround yourself with. If you have a friend and you tell them bad news, they're actually sad, and you can tell them. They will listen. You know, they'll listen. They'll take the damn pain. And they won't tell you about some worse thing that happened to them, defensively say. Or they won't secretly be happy that you got knocked off your pedestal, you know. They'll listen. And then the other thing is if you have a friend and something good happens to you, they're happy. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is you, like, you know, if you're trying to quit smoking and your friends are offering you cigarettes, that's, like, look, there's a joke. You can make a joke about that. And if it's a joke, it's fine. But often those sorts of jokes aren't jokes.
Right.
I'm going to stop there for a moment. And this was something I began to recognize somewhere in my young, early 20s. I had chose a different path in life, and I chose the military even before I graduated high school. So when I was actually deployed in the Middle East, my friends were just graduating high school. In fact, they were walking the ceremony while I was walking Fuels Watch while in the Persian Gulf, you know. So I began to identify what I thought were people that weren't going to be beneficial to me in my life as far as being examples of right and wrong and things like that. So
generate, they're going to like whack you on the back of the head and say, you know, clue the hell in, you know, you're demeaning yourself, you're less than you could be. And there's real judgment in that, and it's harsh, you know. But with friends, it's the same thing. You want friends, they're not friends if they're not these people. You want friends who, when something good happens.
That's the phrase misery loves company. It's never more true than when you're with addicts, right? You know, when I've tried to quit and my friends had tried to quit, we weren't beneficial to each other. We weren't there saying, hey man, good job, keep it up, you're doing great. What we were there doing is saying, you sure you don't want to smoke this joint? You sure you don't want to drink this beer? And that was counterproductive for everyone involved, you know.
To you, that's good for you, right? They're happy about that. They're not like all bitter and resentful underground and like saying horrible things behind your back and telling you how they did something that was better and trying to drag you down. It's like, that's not helpful. And then when something bad happens to you and you go to them and you say, look, this terrible thing happened to me. First of all, they don't try to top it with some like horrible thing that happened to them because they don't have the patience to listen. And second,
for me, that point is so true. You want the best for the people around you. And you know, when I see people that I would tell my dreams and what I wanted to do in my life, and people just scoffed at it almost as if they couldn't envision it. And I think that was the fact was they couldn't envision it. I could, and I was going to strive for it.
To them, because they don't have the patience to listen, and second, they're not secretly gloating about the fact that catastrophe finally befell you. It's like they're actually hurt by it. And that chapter's an injunction, is like, take a look at the people that are around you, and if they're not on the side of what's good for you, then walk away. Because, well, first of all, that's best for them too. If you put up with that, all you're doing is enabling it. It's like, well, it's okay that you mistreat me in a way that's harmful to me and everyone else. It's like, actually, no, that is not okay. It's not the least bit okay. That doesn't mean you shouldn't try to help someone when they're down. That's a whole different issue.
What if it's your family? So you know how you say, like, walk away, right?
Yeah.
Do you still walk away from your family? Or do you
You do if it's necessary.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways of walking away.
Oh yeah,
you know?
like create boundaries.
Well, there's that for sure. There's that. I mean, you sometimes someone's on an incorrigible path. Like, there's just nothing you can do. You know, maybe they're aiming down. They're aiming down hard. And they're bitter, and everything they do is to produce misery, virtually everything.
I've been in situations where quote unquote friends would facilitate misfortune upon you. And I'll give you an example. I had a girlfriend at one time, and we were living opposite ends of the life. She was working nights, I was working days. We were just not seeing a lot of each other. And I was going out, and I was with a lot of friends from work and doing a lot of hard drugs. There was a lot of females there. And I was really, really touching the border of being a good boyfriend or not being a good boyfriend, you know. But this quote-unquote friend took all that information and went to my significant other at the time and elaborated and exaggerated and really made the situation worse than what it was. And, you know, that wasn't a friendly thing to do. You know, if he was concerned about the other party, maybe he could have come to me first and expressed his concerns. But certainly going to the other individual in line and stuff was not working in my best interest and was not a friend.
And you have to detach yourself from that. It's like, I always think about it from the perspective of a lifeguard. So if you're training to be a lifeguard, one of the things that you're trained to do is to approach someone who's drowning and panicking. And the way you approach them is you put your foot out between you and them, and you push forward with your hands with your foot out. And you basically tell them, if they're flailing about, you say, look, I'm here to help, but you have to calm down. And then if they cling to you, like in panic, you push them away. You think, well, that's pretty damn cruel, because what if they drown? It's like, yeah, what if you both drown? That's like not helpful. You're there to rescue them. They take you down. You're both dead. It's like, fail.
I've been both the rescuer and the person who's been rescued. I don't remember much from when I was rescued other than the violent nature of the rescue. In and out of consciousness as I was, they didn't seem too concerned about doing anything particular in the water. There just seemed urgency to get me up and out of the water, and even to the point where I was manhandled up onto the deck. I'm not complaining. They saved my life, but I mean, they you know, they forcefully threw me up on the deck. I did remember that. And I've been in a situation where I've had a friend and a stranger drowning, and I had to approach that man that was pulling my friend down while they were drowning, and I had to strike him. I had to hit him in the head and say, you know, let go of him. You're drowning, both of you guys. And it was a struggle to get both people into shore. Interesting.
Right? So you say, look, quit panicking, I'll help you out, but I'm not drowning along with you. It's like, well, it's the same with someone in your family. It's like, if they're on a downward path and you've done your best, you've made your efforts, and they're not paying attention. They're not changing. They say, yeah, well, I'll quit doing this. Yeah, I'll quit doing this. They tell you the same story over and over and over. It's a downhill path. You don't trust it. At some point, first of all, you stop offering your words. That's do not cast pearls before swine. A very, very harsh statement, right? But what it means is, if you're offering words of wisdom to someone in the genuine attempt to help, and they treat that with contempt, then shut up. Because you're demeaning your words by throwing them away. You think, well, how do you help someone who's aiming down? Well, sometimes you help them by walking away and saying, look, you're aiming down so hard that I am, despite the fact you're my brother, man, it's like, this is killing me. You're aiming down so hard, I'm not coming along with you. And the reason I'm not is
10 years, you're good. We're experiencing a little of that in our extended family, and this individual has chose to just be on a destructive path, not because of really any reason other than the fact that they chose that path and they continue to choose that path. They know right and wrong. They grew up with it, and they're just choosing to be so destructive. And from people's perspective in their family, they've just threw their hands in the air and said, we can't do it anymore. It's been years of fighting, trying to keep this person out of prison and safe. And I think all parties involved are just tired. This individual doesn't want to help themselves. How do you help them? So it's not always a win-win, or not always a winning situation.
No uncertain terms that what you're doing is so terrible that I will even violate our kinship to oppose it. And maybe it'll take them 10 years to wake up to that, And so that can be the case because, people often have to be hit so many times before they'll learn. You see that especially if someone's addicted or otherwise pursuing a pathway that's like seriously downhill. Here's how you know if someone's your friend. A, you can tell them bad news and they'll listen. They won't tell you why, you're stupid and why that bad thing happened to you and how something worse happened to them once and, derail the whole conversation. You can actually tell them bad news and they'll listen. So that's a good thing. And then this is a weirder thing. You can tell them good news and they'll help you celebrate. And that's a really good way of deciding who you should have around you. Because if you have someone around you, something good happens to you and you're kind of afraid to even admit it because, God, something good happened to you. It's like, you let that be known and it'll certainly be taken away. So, you come out and you sort of tell someone.
Absolute truth. I had multiple times when I would share information with what I thought were good, close friends or whatever. And it was completely disregarded just as fast as it came out of my mouth, almost as if they didn't want to hear my good news,
Best part of you. You can hang around with weasels and losers that are trying to pull you down to justify the fact that they're spiraling downhill as well. And the upside of that is you don't have to have any responsibility and you can all whine about how wretched life is, so that's pretty attractive. But I would say it's also a bad medium to long-term plan. And so it's acceptable and desirable to try to surround yourself with people who are facilitating your development. And you might say, well, I've got people around, I know them well, they're not doing that well and they don't fit into that category. It's like, what are you going to do with them? Exactly. If they'll listen and cooperate with you and move towards a better future, great. If they don't pay.
And it really should be. I mean, if you're trying to get anywhere in life, shouldn't you surround yourself with similar people as you aspire to be? If you want to be a scientist, a wonderful scientist, wouldn't it make sense to go and shadow like some of the prominent scientists in the world, see if you could intern in their offices or in their labs or whatever? It's no different. When I was in Maine, there was a gentleman there that I admired. He wasn't perfect by any means, but He was perfect in a lot of ways, and I looked to him and tried to emulate some of the things that he did, especially how he gracefully handled people and arguments and stuff. He really was very, very diplomatic, really is very, very diplomatic and very kind-hearted. Surround yourself with like-minded people.
And they keep doing the same damn things over and over, and they're not going anywhere, and it's painful, then maybe the proper thing to do is say, you just have your misery. I'll go off and have my life. And maybe you'll wake up at some point in the future and think that's a better way of being. Because just putting up with it is, well, they call that enabling, right? You put up with that sort of behavior, you're providing tacit consent for it, and even tacit approval. It's like, it's a bad idea. You have, I would say, both the right and the responsibility to surround yourself with people who are good for the best part of you.
Really a great conversation. I mean, it was, I enjoy his, how clearly he speaks and to the point, how candid he is, I guess the word is, but, yeah, I hear I hear things like, you've changed so much since we were younger, or, you've changed since school. Yeah, we grow and we change, and things when you're younger and reasons to have friendships fade or outlive themselves. I had a lot of friendships that were based on partying. We did a lot of stuff as younger people that, we grew up together, but as we got older, it turned into partying. And when I began to realize that I wasn't going to achieve the goals I wanted to in life on this path, I had to change course. And I'm one of the people that just throws caution to the wind, and I made a sharp turn and I never looked back. And it's unfortunate some of the relationships I've lost, but when I look and I see how negative that they were and how toxic they were, and I couldn't have those people in my life and be true to who I was, really, so. All right, folks, that's all.